Hello, everyone. Welcome to our session today on engaging employee training programs with Poly and Microsoft Teams. Couldn't be more excited to jump in and show you exactly how we do things. Worth noting, this recording might look a little bit different than you expected. We had a little bit of technical difficulties with the live webinar session, but I'm going to just record myself right now. And I think this will be a good representation of exactly what we took a look at today. So to begin, let's talk about an agenda. What we're going to do is we're going to discuss what an engaging L&D audience looks like and how Poly can assist with that through the use of Poly within Microsoft Teams to plan out a session, meaning you're scheduling your quizzes or polls and surveys ahead of time, using Poly in the middle of your meetings, gathering feedback post-session, and then we can talk about how to facilitate Q&A in the middle of your sessions as well. So to talk about the benefits of engaging your L&D audience, these sorts of items typically go without saying, but it is worth just touching on, I think, briefly. What we want to do is we want to help improve retention. We want higher participation, and we want better feedback mechanisms so that you can ultimately personalize your learning processes such that the knowledge transfer is better, is more optimal than not using a solution like Poly to both gather feedback and also just test for knowledge. Last but not least, we definitely want to make sure that our folks are motivated coming out of these sessions. And so having the ability to both be heard and to respond to quiz questions and to ask specific questions during these sessions, large and small, is a really important means of engaging your participants. Now, the next thing that we should touch on is probably these key checkpoints. So we view kind of these L&D sessions as having, key checkpoints throughout them. So how are you engaging your folks at the very beginning? Are you running an icebreaker to ensure that everyone is engaged and excited about the session for that day? How are you doing mid-program check-ins to ensure that everyone is up to speed and at the same place in their learning process? How can you run an engaging Q&A process in the middle of your sessions to ensure that everyone can ask questions, without necessarily being fearful of what the answer might be or interrupting a large presentation? How are you gathering feedback after the fact so that you can make these sessions better and better over time? And how can you follow up with the folks who were in these sessions to ensure that the knowledge stuck? Poly can help with all of these different checkpoints. And I'm going to show you today exactly how we can do that. Another thing I'd like to share is just our partnership, our level of partnership that we have with the Microsoft family. Poly was one of the first applications to launch on the Microsoft Teams App Store back in 2019. And Poly is the only survey solution ever to be mentioned by Satya Nadella during an earnings call, which he did in January 2023, stating that Poly had officially reached 500,000 monthly active users. And he mentioned us in the same breath as amazing companies like Adobe, Atlassian, and Workday. So we're in good company there. The last thing I'll say here about our partnership is just that if you go to the popular on Teams section of the app marketplace, you'll notice Poly is just one of two non-Microsoft built applications above the fold in the popular on Teams section. It's us and it's Canva. So again, we're in good company there. Okay, so this kind of begs the question, why are you harping so much on Teams, right? Like what's the point? And we actually have data to back up that meeting employees where work happens for them is the absolute best way to create better outcomes for your whole organization. We have a customer of ours who, it's a very large community of developers. And essentially what they did was they did an A/B test between sending a Poly through a direct message in Slack compared to sending a Google form to all these individuals. And what they found was that there was a 350% increase in response rate when they sent the Poly through a DM. I mean, I don't know if there's much more to say than that, right? When you maximize response rates, you can make better business decisions, and ultimately that leads to better outcomes. And so, within this context, our whole mission is to help you create the best learning and development programs possible. And we can help you do that by boosting response rates and maximizing the amount and the quality of the feedback that you're getting because you're meeting employees where work happens. Now, don't take my word for it that Poly is a great tool to use in these instances. Trust the word of our customers. So these are just a few of the logos, of the customers that we keep. There are over 450,000 organizations that have used Poly in some way, shape, or form over the years. And, at this point, I'm super excited to jump into the platform itself so we can see it. So, as I mentioned at the top during our agenda, there are sort of a few different steps within this process to create a really engaging L&D session. One thing that you can do in order to ensure that you are prepared for these sessions and that you've planned everything out properly is to set up Poly ahead of time. Set up your Polys ahead of time. So when you're creating the calendar event, you can go ahead and do that pretty quick and easy. You can invite your attendees. We can go ahead and hit save. And as we all know, every meeting has a chat session associated with it as well. And so you can see here, you can add Poly as an app at the top of the screen just by clicking the plus button and adding it as a tab within the specific chat of the L&D session that you have coming up. When I head to that tab, it's going to give me a menu of options for creating engaging polls, surveys, or quizzes. And to begin, I'll first just create an icebreaker. So I'm going to click Create New. You can see the different topics that we have here, or the different types we have here. I'm going to click Icebreaker. Now, we offer a bank of icebreaker questions, and you can shuffle through them until you get to one that you really like and that you think is going to engage your audience. But if you don't want to leave it up to chance, we can use Generate with AI and enter a prompt in order to get a topical icebreaker question that we know people will engage with. So in this case, let's for the sake of the example, let's make this something around workplace safety. Let's say that is the topic of this particular training session. See, and look, we give you 3 different options. If you want to go spicy and you really want to hear from people, then we can go spicy with it. Otherwise, we can do something a little bit safer, right? What household chore is the worst? We can click use this icebreaker, or what if we say, why don't we say what office chore is the worst, right? And this might be a way that that we can engage our audience in kind of a topical way. Okay, so what we did just now is I hit save, and you'll notice I now have the option to send it. We haven't sent the Poly to the channel yet, and that's because we're in full control. Once we've queued up this particular Poly, we're in full control of when it goes out to the channel. And in this case, we want to wait until our meeting starts to send this icebreaker. Now, let's say in the very middle of our session, another thing that we want to do is quiz the audience and ensure that they're paying attention. So I'm going to create a brand new quiz question. And actually, I have a template that I'm going to pull from because I think it's pretty timely, right? I have this health and safety fire question quiz that I'm going to use. And you can see the question that we have here. What is the very first thing you should do if you spot a fire in the workplace? Okay. And we have 4 different options. All of them are plausibly correct, but in this case, the very first thing you should do is pull the fire alarm to alert the rest of the building. If you want with these quizzes, you can make them multi-question quizzes. That's totally fine. You can mark certain quiz questions as required or not. You can allow people to leave comments. Multiple answers might be correct as well. It's all up to you. You can also configure how these questions are delivered. So if you want to deliver them in the chat, or as a direct message to each individual, that's fine too. You can also determine how the results come through. And what you can do is with quizzes, you can select to show the proper answers and the answers of everyone else in the session once the poly itself has been closed, so that the audience has full visibility into that. Otherwise, if you want to keep the results hidden, we can do that too. In this case, we want to send this and close it manually. And we're going to hit save once again. And now we've got 2 polys that are in our queue. All right. So I think we're ready to go. We've got a few different polys that we're planning on sending out. One's a little bit more fun, meant to engage the audience. The other one is to ensure that the knowledge is being transferred properly during the session. Let's go ahead and join our meeting. All right. So you can imagine that, as you're waiting to get started, people are trickling in. You're letting people in from the waiting room. You'll notice that the Poly app is active here at the top of the screen. That's because we added it to the chat ahead of time. When I click on our Poly app here, we'll notice the questions that we have already queued up. And I think we're really just ready to go here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit send on this. Now, when I do, in the middle of this meeting, a little pop-up box is going to show up for everyone so that they're prompted to respond to this icebreaker. Let's say emptying. Actually, no. The office tour that's the worst is cleaning out your keyboard. There's just something about it. There's a lot of dust that ends up flying around everywhere. And as answers start to come in, everyone will be notified of the submissions here along along with the side panel as well. And so from here, others in the audience can react to these responses. And it's a great way to just get a meeting going without having to talk about a random work topic or the weather, right? And again, we offer that bank of icebreaker questions. We also offer the ability to generate these with AI. Now, if you've got an extremely large session and you want to keep it really short and sweet with the way that people engage up front, we do also offer what are called hot takes. So when I click on hot take, the same rule applies. It's essentially, a quick and easy way to get people engaged. That's not work or the weather. The only difference here is that it is a simple upvote or downvote, or thumbs up or thumbs down question. And these are really meant to kind of get the audience going. If you really want to get people going, there's one question that will divide, I think it will eventually, divide our planet fully. Should or does pineapple belong on pizza? Let's do it. Let's risk it all. Okay. So again, we can send this out to the audience and it will show up. It'll show up here. Yeah, it should show up here in the middle as a dialog box. In this case, it's showing up in the Poly app on the side here. And then from here, you can upvote or downvote. All right. So now let's talk about our knowledge check, our quiz question. If I send this to the channel, we can see the question will pop up for everybody here. What is the very first thing you should do if you spot a fire in the workplace? Pull the fire alarm. All right, I'm going to hit submit. And now, if I head to, move myself up here. If I head to result details, this is where I am able to, I'm going to move myself back down. This is where I'm able to analyze the results. So I can see the leaderboard. How many questions did certain individuals get correct? Oh, and there, the hot take's a little bit late here. How did everyone answer, right? What percentage of people responded with each different response? And how did each individual user do? So if you wanted to check in on individual users' responses to these quiz questions, it's all really easy to do here by going to results details. Okay, so that's what it looks like to queue up a poly ahead of time, send them to the audience, and then view the results in real time. Now, the last thing I'll share here about the in-meeting experience is the ability to create a Q&A session. So while we can create hot takes, icebreakers, quizzes, you can just send a multiple choice poly or an open text poly. We can also create a Q&A session. So when I click that, it's going to take me to this screen here. This is how we configure our Q&A session. So we can ask the audience a particular question or prompt them with a question. In this case, the default is, do you have any questions? And from here, we can allow upvoting, and we can also review and approve questions before displaying to attendees. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And once again, it's in our queue. We can click Start Q&A in order to get it going. In this case, I'm going to submit a question right now. But if anyone within the audience doesn't feel that they need to answer a question right now and they want to answer it a little bit later, they can exit out of that dialog box and just click Join Q&A whenever they want to submit a question. From here, I'm going to ask, where should the fire extinguisher be on every floor? I'm going to send this anonymously. That's up to the user as well. And then from here, once the question is submitted, you'll notice it's in review. It's not in the approved section of our Q&A session just yet. Now, it's worth noting, I am seeing this review section because I am the creator of the Q&A session itself. You can also add moderators or owners of this Q&A session who can all review the questions that come through. From here, if I want to just simply respond to this anonymous user, I can do that through a private message. I can approve this question if I want to either gather feedback from the audience on if this is relevant or not, or just share it with them. Just share the question with them and let them know, hey, this is a question we're going to be going over shortly. From here, people can click on this thumbs up button. You can filter and sort the results by likes to ensure that you are answering questions that are relevant to what the audience wants answered. And then when you're responding to these questions, you can go ahead and highlight the question for all users. And so in the middle of your response, you'll see that this question is now highlighted. It's subtle, but it can make all the difference when it comes to engaging your audience and ensuring that everyone is on the same page with what's going on at that exact moment. Now, once you've responded to these questions, we can click on this checkbox, which will mark the question as answered and move it to the answered section of the approved region of the Q&A session. All right, so that is how you hold a Q&A session within a Microsoft Teams meeting through Poly. Okay, so that covers it for the in-meeting experience. Again, you can queue up your questions ahead of time. You can start your Q&A session midstream or ahead of time. You can send a poly no matter what type at any point during or before your meeting. From here, I'm going to go ahead and leave. And now, one thing that's really great about Microsoft Teams is actually that you have this persistent chat that is, aligned with the topic at hand, so that if you want to keep the conversation going, it's really easy to do. Now, the other thing we can do is we can create a post-meeting feedback poly. So I'm going to head to the Poly app at the top of the page, create. I actually happen to have a template specifically for L&D sessions, but just know that out of the box, if I click meeting attendees and get feedback after the meeting, I have this meeting feedback template that I can pull from right away. I'm going to go to all templates, post session, and use this template. Boom. Okay. Now you can see the 5 questions here. I can add questions if I want. I can edit any of these. And I can edit these settings down here too. Now in this case, instead of sending it directly to the channel, I think it's probably most appropriate to send this poly as a direct message to all the individuals within that chat. And that way you can ensure that that people have full visibility on it, and it's not going to get lost in what may be a really active channel for communication with regard to that particular L&D topic. All right, so let's go ahead and hit save. One other thing I can do is I can copy this link. What this link is it essentially allows you to maximize visibility on the poly itself, so that people can receive the post-session feedback survey through a DM. You can see I've got a new notification here from the poly bot. You can also paste it here too in the chat session. And you can see it's really quick and easy to click on this button and just respond right there. Worth noting, if you do it this way, it will open up a new tab, and you will be required to sign in with your Microsoft user credentials. But in a way, this is good because you can confirm that the individual who's signing in is who they say they are. All right, I'm going to head to the Polybot. And here's our post-session feedback survey. I'm going to go ahead and start this. I think it was fantastic. Strongly agree. Topics were relevant. What could we do to improve the meeting? More icebreaker questions. All right, from here we can go ahead and hit submit. Now, remember we chose to hide the results from the audience. Because I'm the creator and owner of this poly, I can view all the results by clicking on this button and cycling through the questions here. If I wanted to, I could head back to our particular chat session, head back to the Poly app. If I wanted to share the results with others, I can click Management Controls, Owners, and I'm the only other user within my team's environment. So just know I'm not going to be able to add others here, but if you can search for users here in the Owner Access for Poly search function. I can also export the results to a CSV file. And then from there, I can input them into whatever data visualization tool I would like, whether it's Power BI or some other tool. Okay, so I think that takes us to time. Really, really excited to be connecting with all of you, after the fact. If there are any questions at all about anything that I went over today, please do let me know, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you so much.